Welcome everyone. Today we have a very special story for you. It is an old fable called The Crow and the Pitcher. It is a story about a clever bird, a difficult problem, and a lesson that is still very useful today. Long ago, in a forest where the trees whispered secrets to each other, there lived a crow. He was a big, black bird with shiny feathers that looked almost blue in the sunlight. His eyes were sharp and dark, like two small pieces of the night sky. This crow was not like other birds. He watched everything very carefully. He noticed small things that others did not see. He was known in the forest as a clever bird. But on this day, cleverness alone was not enough. It was the middle of summer. The sun was high and hot, like a burning coin in the sky. The grass was yellow and dry. The small streams had stopped running. The mud at the edge of the river had cracked into hard pieces, like broken pottery. The crow had been flying for a long time. His wings were heavy and tired. His throat was dry, like sand. His black feathers felt hot under the fierce summer sun. He needed water. He needed it badly. Water, he said to himself, his voice rough and low. I must find water. I must find it soon. He flew over the dry fields. He flew over the cracked earth. He flew over the yellow grass. Everywhere he looked, the land was thirsty, just like him. There was no water anywhere. Then, far below, something caught his sharp eye. It was a tall clay pitcher, sitting alone near an old stone wall. The pitcher was the color of red earth, smooth and round at the bottom, narrow at the top. The crow flew down quickly. His heart was beating fast with hope. He landed on the edge of the pitcher and looked inside. There was water at the bottom. Yes, real water. He could see it, cool and still, deep inside the pitcher. He could almost smell it, fresh and clean. But it was very far down. The water level was very low. Oh no, said the crow. His voice was sad. He stretched his beak down into the pitcher as far as he could. His beak touched nothing. The water was too far down. His beak was too short. He tried again. He pushed his head down into the narrow top of the pitcher. He stretched and stretched. But still, his beak could not reach the water. Not even close. He pulled his head out and sat on the edge of the pitcher. He looked around. The sun was still burning. The land was still dry. There was no other water anywhere that he could see. What can I do? He said quietly. The water is there. I can see it. I can almost smell it. But I cannot reach it. For a moment, the crow felt something close to sadness. He felt the heavy weight of the hot sun on his back. He felt the terrible dryness in his throat. He thought about giving up and flying away. But then he stopped. He looked at the pitcher again. He looked at the ground around it. And he began to think. On the ground near the pitcher, there were small stones. They were everywhere, gray and white and brown, scattered across the dry earth like tiny sleeping animals. The crow looked at the stones. Then he looked at the pitcher. Then he looked at the stones again. Something was happening inside his clever mind. A small idea was growing, like a seed pushing up through hard soil. What if? He said slowly. What if I put a stone into the pitcher? He picked up a small stone in his beak. He carried it to the pitcher. He dropped it in. It fell with a soft sound, plop, into the water at the bottom. He looked inside. The water had moved a little. Just a tiny bit. But it had moved. "Yes," said the crow. His dark eyes were bright now. "Yes. The stone takes up space. The water must go up." He picked up another stone. He carried it to the pitcher. He dropped it in. Plop. He looked inside again. The water was a little bit higher. Just a little. But higher. The crow began to work faster. He picked up stone after stone. Small ones, medium ones, flat ones, round ones. One by one, he carried them to the pitcher and dropped them in. Plop. 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 It was hard work. The sun was still hot. His wings were still tired. His throat was still dry. But he did not stop. He kept going, stone by stone, one at a time. Sometimes he stopped and looked inside the pitcher. Each time, the water was a little higher. Just a little. But it was moving. It was really moving. "Keep going," he told himself. "Do not stop. Keep going." The other animals in the forest watched him from a distance. A small rabbit sat near a bush and tilted its head to one side. A green lizard on a warm rock opened one eye and watched. A fat beetle walked slowly past and stopped to look. "What is that crow doing?" said the rabbit. "He is putting stones in a pitcher," said the lizard. "Why?" said the rabbit. "I do not know," said the lizard. "It looks like a lot of work for nothing." But the crow did not listen to them. He kept working. Stone after stone. Plop after plop. The pile of stones on the ground was getting smaller. The water inside the pitcher was getting higher. Then something impossible happened. The crow looked inside the pitcher and saw that the water was now just a few centimeters from the top. He could almost reach it. His beak was so close. He stretched down one more time. And this time, his beak touched the water. The coolness of it was like a miracle. He drank. Long, slow, wonderful drinks of cool water. Each drop felt like life itself going back into his dry body. He drank until he was full. He drank until his thirst was completely gone. He lifted his head out of the pitcher and sat very still for a moment. The water was cool in his stomach. The world looked different now. The sky looked bluer. The air smelled cleaner. Even the hot sun did not feel so terrible. "It worked," he said softly. "It really worked." The rabbit came a little closer. "How did you do that?" it asked. "I thought about the problem," said the crow. "I could not make my beak longer. I could not make the pitcher shorter. But I could make the water higher. So I did." The lizard came off its warm rock. "But it was so much work," it said. "So many stones. So much time. I would have just flown away to look for other water." "And if there was no other water," said the crow. "What then?" The lizard said nothing. It had no answer. "Sometimes," said the crow, "when you cannot change the problem, you must change your approach. You must look at what you have. You must use what is around you. And you must not give up before you start. The rabbit looked at the pitcher. It looked at the pile of stones on the ground. It thought about this for a long time. So the stones were always there, said the rabbit slowly. The answer was always there. You just had to see it. Yes, said the crow. That is exactly right. Before I tell you what happened next, you need to know this. The crow did not find the answer because he was the smartest animal in the forest. He found the answer because he did not panic. He sat still. He looked carefully. He asked himself a simple question: what do I have, and how can I use it? That is a skill that any of us can learn. It is not about being the biggest or the fastest or the most powerful. It is about being calm and creative when things are hard. After that day, the story of the crow and the pitcher spread through the whole forest. Animals talked about it near the river. Birds repeated it in the high branches of the old oak trees. Even the wind seemed to carry the story from one place to another. And every time an animal faced a hard problem, another animal would say, "Remember the crow. Think carefully. Look at what you have. Use what is around you." The crow himself continued to live in the forest. He was not famous. He did not want to be. He just continued to watch, to notice, and to think. And whenever he saw a young bird struggling with a problem, he would fly close and say one simple thing. Stop. Look. Think. The answer is usually closer than you believe. Years passed. The forest grew. New animals were born. Old ones grew wise and slow. But the story of the crow and the pitcher never disappeared. It lived on, passed from mouth to mouth, from generation to generation, like a small warm fire that never goes out. And so, what is the lesson of this old story? What can we take from a thirsty crow and a clay pitcher on a hot summer day? The lesson is this: when you face a problem that seems impossible, do not panic and do not give up. Look around you. Look at what you already have. Sometimes the answer is not something new that you need to find. Sometimes the answer is already there, waiting quietly, like small gray stones on dry ground. When life feels like a pitcher that is too deep and your beak is too short, do not fly away in despair. Ask yourself, what small things do I have? What can I do, one step at a time? How can I use what is already here? Because the water is there. It is waiting for you. You just need the patience to drop in the stones, one by one, until it rises to meet you. This lesson is just as true today as it was in the time of the ancient fable. When a student cannot understand a difficult lesson, they do not need to be the smartest person in the room. They need to break the problem into small pieces, like small stones, and work through it slowly and carefully. When someone loses their job and feels that everything is impossible, they do not need a miracle. They need to look at the skills they already have, the people they already know, the small opportunities already around them. When a person feels stuck and hopeless, the answer is rarely somewhere far away. It is usually right there, at their feet, in the ordinary things of daily life. The crow did not have magic. He did not have special powers. He had patience, observation, and a willingness to try. Those three things together are more powerful than most people realize. So the next time you face a problem that feels too big, too deep, too difficult, remember the crow. Remember the pitcher. Remember the small gray stones on the dry summer ground. Stop. Look. Think. And then begin, one stone at a time. Because clever thinking does not mean having all the answers right away. It means being willing to look for them, even when you are tired, even when you are thirsty, even when the sun is hot and the world feels dry and empty. The water is there. It is waiting for you. All you have to do is find the stones.